If you have scoliosis and you're in your late 30s, 40s, early 50s, this will be the most insightful video you will ever watch on this topic. Most of the time, scoliosis is first diagnosed in middle school. A note is sent home with the child to give to their parents to be monitored, possibly by a specialist, until they're done growing. But what happens after that? Are the curves supposed to just stop if the curves were not so bad as a teenager that they actually needed surgery? Sadly, no, they don't just stop. They can continue to progress. They're typically pretty stable from about 20 through mid-30s. But what happens is that as we get older, our spines tend to lose their tension-like characteristics. It can become more hinge-like, and what happens is then water does not absorb as well into the disc. Now, for the person with scoliosis, just about every single vertebra in their spine is out of alignment. And this puts a wedging stress on the disc. Those discs can become thin, they can wedge, they can crack. This causes them to, bulge, but especially for females who have loss of bone density, which can happen as they get, if they don't have their periods anymore, maybe late 40s, early 50s, losing calcium content in the bone itself now can create this situation where there's a buckling effect in the spine. And when that happens, not only is there a scoliosis, but something called a kyphoscoliosis can begin to develop, in which the person is now standing sort of like this. Now, this is my spine, and I had this leg press injury a couple of years ago, in which the mid to lower part, where one curve, as you can see, transitions into the next, just wasn't the same ever since. Rotational movements, putting my daughter into her car seat, even bending down to tie my shoes or taking the groceries out of the car after Costco trips. Mechanically, things just weren't the same. In my mind's eye, I had a very vivid picture of my spine going from a situation where the discs like this towards something like this. And for me, that's unacceptable. And so I was proactive. I got a new piece of technology, a new piece of machinery. I knew exactly how I would set the settings on it, and that's actually featured in a video below. And after 10 minutes of that, I went to bed and I had 3 releases in my mid-spine, right at this transitional area, sequentially from above down at about T8 down to T12, maybe L2 area. And to me, this was a big, big deal. And I tried this protocol on somebody else with a pattern exactly like mine, and she went from 43 degrees down to 32 degrees in about 5 weeks with 11 sessions. She didn't have to do a bunch of bracing. I didn't give her a bunch of exercises to do at home, and it wasn't thousands of dollars either. Because here's the thing, and I know this is kind of common sense, but our spines are not a column. The vertebrae do not misalign like Jenga blocks segmentally. The spine can sort of unravel, especially for a person with scoliosis, and anything that unravels typically unravels from the ends, typically from the top and the bottom. The top is the most mobile, so it's most prone to injury. You can't walk around like this, so you compensate. One hip can oftentimes drop, a leg will appear shorter, there can be locking of different vertebrae. But here's the thing, here's the key where I don't think you're gonna hear it anywhere else. As one curve transitions into the next, as our spine seemingly unravels, as our spine compresses under gravity, what happens to this midsection? It gets weaker and weaker and weaker, prone to an injury exactly like what I had sustained. And so the first time that I did this, I slept great. It was Saturday morning, and I didn't even know what day it was. By the end of that day, I realized I gotta take this to the scoliosis community. So here you are, probably seeing this on a Google ad, and you might be wondering how you can come in and actually get this checked out. Maybe it's been a while since you've had a baseline measurement of where you sit right now. We take x-ray from the top all the way to the bottom of the spine. We can't look at it segmentally. We got to make accurate measurements so that we can track your progress. Now, we can't get improvement on everybody, especially if a person's spine has already begun to buckle. But if it's not to that point yet, I'm confident that you should be able to see some changes, if you're like most people, in as little as 5 weeks. You can schedule online. If you'd like to upload your x-rays and you want to talk about it over the phone, we can certainly do that. I'm in the trenches right there with you, and I want to help you get out in front of the progression, particularly of the compressive situation that a lot of people in the 30s, 40s, early 50s are getting into as one curve transitions into the next. I promise that is the key to your future quality of life as you get into your 60s, 70s, and 80s, is staying out ahead of that. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Check out the rest of our website. And again, if you have any questions at all, just shoot me an email. And I look forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks. I'm Dr. Petrick.